What's going on, everybody? Welcome to What to Watch with the Scene Snobs. And I am your host, Mick Manhattan. Now, this is an old segment that we used to do back in the day that I'm kind of bringing back. It's Halloween edition. We're going to talk about the streaming services and what they have out in terms of horror movies and fun things to watch over the Halloween season. So, join me on this quick trip. I'm going to go over what everybody's showing, and I'm also going to give my top 3 picks for each streaming platform. And I'm going to tell you guys where to go if you have regular cable to watch some fun stuff. Usually what I like to do when it comes to Halloween time, I have kids, I want to introduce them to horror movies more, and movies that are cut up on basic cable TV channels, things like that. They're a good way to introduce young kids into the genre. So we'll get into all that. I am the host of the Scene Snob podcast, along with my buddy, the Madman, Casey Plott. We do a live show every Tuesday night. If you're just checking us out for the first time, check out our show. It's a comedy show based in the entertainment industry and other very absurd topics we get into. So that's every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. This Tuesday, we're starting at 8 p.m., a special time. That is October 5th. It's our 2-year anniversary show. So please check it out. Join in the comments. Have fun with the conversations and everything. It's going to be wild. It's going to be a couple hours long. We're just going to have a great time with it. So please join in or catch our show anytime after that on YouTube or any podcast platform. If you are watching from YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps us go a long way. Hit the like button, people to getting the word out there for everything. So I'm doing this as part of our Scene Snobs Halloween Horror Fest. So all month long, we are going to be celebrating that horror genre we love and all things Halloween because we love the holiday. As sure as many of you, whoever are watching, do as well. So this one is just going to be about what to watch, what's going on. I have some cards with everything that's playing on the different streaming platforms, like I said, and then we'll get into that. So what I wanted to do was, before we really get started, so like I said, it's our Scene Snobs Halloween Horror Fest. If you guys are joining in or you're sharing out or anything, or you want to, add us and stuff, we are at the Scene Snobs everywhere. And then use hashtag Snobs Horror Fest. We'd love to see what costumes you got, what you're working on, decorations, things like that. What your favorite horror movies are. Recommend, all that stuff. Let's just get into it. Recommendations and stuff, things like that. So yeah, use that hashtag Snobs Horror Fest, and we'll be able to connect with you on the different platforms. So follow, subscribe wherever you see us, and we'll have a good time. All the links are on thescenesnobs.com. So here we go. First up, I want to start with Tubi. Tubi is a sleeper, especially when it comes to horror movies. They have some really fun stuff to watch. It's free. It has ads, but you should definitely go check them out. I think it's a great time. And they have a lot of quality stuff. But this is their, get rid of the banner so we can see everything. This is what's coming to them, or has already, with October already started. So they have a very cool collection. It kind of spans over the decades. Like you see, it starts with House of Wax. We have The Changeling. I'm not going to read them all off, but I want to point out some fun ones that you can really get into. It's a good introductory if you've never really started there before, like Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. That's a fairly new one to be on Tubi, and one cool one to check out. If you want to get a little darker, they have things like Clown. They have things like Sleepaway Camp. Cooties is a fun horror comedy with Elijah Wood that you should check out. This is a really solid list for a free streaming service. Now, I'm not going to give you my top 3 yet. We'll go over it at the end, but you can really get into, and I believe this Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the new one. But yeah, there's some really fun ones to go. Candyman, of course. The Awakening was a pretty good one. That was a ghost story, period piece ghost story that came out around the same time that Crimson Peak did. And it's a solid one I think you'd be able to find follow up with. A lot of good introductory ones here too. So with Tubi, you might have to suffer through some ads. And there have been times where I've had 6 or 7 commercials in a row and then not another one throughout the rest of the movie. Or I've had 2 or 3 and it's stopped the movie 15 times. It does suck. It's hit or miss, but for the list that you get. I'm bringing up again the list of movies that you get here to be able to watch. Ginger Snaps is a great movie too. In case you guys haven't seen it, you've got to, just deal with the commercials. We used to do it all the time when we were kids. You didn't have much of a choice. Children of the Corn, personal favorite. I love that one. We actually just posted our interview with Malachi himself, Mr. Courtney Gaines. You can always check that out. It's up on the Scene Snobs now. Going to our next one, I wanted to bring up Hulu. Hulu is one that in the game for about 2 years now or so has really been up in the ante on their horror game, and that's all year long. That hasn't been just a Halloween thing, but they really ramp it up for Halloween. Here, you get some good older ones, especially 80s fare, but like you get some good original stuff too. Now, some that stick out to me here to check out: Train to Busan. Bad Hair was an original with Hulu that was really good. You guys should check that out. You can go through The House is October Built, which isn't a Hulu movie, but it is a really cool little sleeper movie if you haven't seen it. But you got Happy Death Day, which is a fairly bigger movie. Possessor. Crawl is out now, and Crawl has gotten a lot of very cool feedback from people, a fun creature feature type. So, right here, all 31 days, you've got some very cool stuff to watch. Like Hulu, and they have the very cool thing about Hulu too is they really ramp it up with their horror shows. So if you don't see a movie on here you want to watch, I would definitely check them out for their horror shows as well. I also want to thank Horror Movie Stills for making these. I was going to make my own list of everything that was out there for each, but these are just really cool looking. And so, I want to, at Horror Movie Stills, you can go check them out. I follow them as well. Just some cool stuff, but I wanted to give them some credit for what they put together. Next up on the list, Shudder. If you're a horror fan, you most likely have Shudder. I mean, everybody does. For Joe Bob, they just had the Elvira special. They have fun stuff going on all the time. But if you want horror movies, they're here. The House of the Devil. That's a very fun little, takes place in the 80s, satanic panic movie. But they have a lot of newer and original fare that they picked up. Like VHS 94 is a newer movie that's coming out that I think is just exclusive to them. So that's fun. I know the Mortuary Collection was a Shudder exclusive as well. Quite a few different fun things here. There's a little bit of overlap, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I believe this is the 74 version. The other one was the 2003 version, so that works. A lot of fun, campy 80s goes with Shudder as well. So, as you can see, you have Stage Fright Demons, Maniac, Hellraiser, Poltergeist, Basket Case. Like, Society is truly a grotesque movie, but fun. Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2. One that I truly love, Pumpkinhead, is on there. So, go check it out. Watch some fun stuff. Shudder has those. This is, to me, like, as we go through this list, like, Shudder has probably the most horror fan friendly collections. So I would definitely, if you don't have Shudder, it's definitely worth it. I usually leave it running in the background sometimes while I'm like maybe cleaning the house or doing some work or something, because they have Shudder TV, which will just play horror movies all day long, and you can definitely find some fun stuff on there. So Shudder is definitely a way to go. As you can see that list. What I'm going to do is I'm going to post our lists on our social medias too, or share the Horror Movie Stills list, so that way you have them there. And I will share my list of top 3 on each social platforms that I think you should check out if you haven't already. Next up is HBO Max. Now, HBO Max stepped in the game, and they are really coming in hardcore. Like, they're picking up some really fun stuff to kind of show, and they got all the new stuff coming out too. Malignant is a brand new movie that just came out that's available all month. But this is a solid list. You have a healthy mix of 80s horror. You have a healthy mix of old school horror. and like 90s horror, like things that we'd really enjoy. And you can kind of go through, and they're fun. These are fun movies for Halloween, especially. Scream, of course, Night of the Living Dead is a personal favorite of mine. Return of the Living Dead, look at all of this. The Shining, Nightmare on Elm Street. This is something where if you have HBO Go, you can have a really good time with horror movies on it. This is a solid list right here. But yeah, HBO Max is definitely up in their game on their horror level. Okay, so next up is Prime Video. Prime Video is a sleeper, I feel like. I never hear too many people talk about the horror collection on Prime Video, and they should, because it is wonderful. Because this is their 31 movies that they have this month. They have a huge library of movies. I would venture to say that if you really are looking for something, whether it be indie horror or things that you love, Prime is definitely one that people should look at first. I think, as much as I love Shudder, but Shudder works with Prime, so like everything that's available on Shudder is available on Prime as well. So there's a really cool mix of things. I found some stuff from like the 80s and the 90s that I had heard of but never had a chance to watch, that just kind of pop back up. And they have big movies too. First off, watch Slither. That's James Gunn, amazing horror comedy. Monster Squad is on Prime. Go check it out. Look at this list. This is fantastic. And a lot of sleepers too. Daniel Isn't Real. The Neon Demon. We've talked about all these different things. They also have Pumpkinhead, again, a favorite of mine. The Descent, if nobody's seen that, you should definitely watch that. But like, this is a really solid list of movies to watch. And I feel like it's I don't want to say true horror. I almost did, but I don't want to say true horror fans. But fans of the genre that really know their stuff, like, this is a good list. And I think we can all agree on that. Now, not one of my main go-tos when it comes to horror, but always builds it up, especially with the horror shows I really like, is Netflix. So last on the list, this is the probably the biggest streaming service we have out, but they have some really good original stuff, and they pick up some fun stuff along the way. Whereas like with Prime, I'm like, if you're searching through Prime for a horror movie, and you're a horror fan, you're gonna find something that you really appreciate. If you're on Netflix, you'll probably find something you really appreciate, but there's a lot more than I think we give them credit for. They've of course gone all in on Mike Flanagan and his haunting shows, and he has a new show out now as well, Midnight Mass, which is catching a lot of love in terms of reviews and things like that. I haven't checked it out myself yet, but you also have Hush here at number 24. Hush is a really fun little slasher film with a twist, and girl lives alone in the woods and being stalked. Like, it's a really well done film. So I definitely push people to do that. Cam is a good one. And these are all ones Netflix put out. Like, they have the Fear Streets here, which were fun, campy stuff to watch. There was 3 of them. Gerald's Game, another one of theirs, that was based on a Stephen King novel. So you can definitely find some really fun stuff on Netflix. So all these streaming services are doing really well in terms of what they have to offer for Halloween. So we have really fun things to watch. Now, I am mostly a streaming guy. I do have Sling, for sports reasons, things like that, but especially around Halloween time, I like to have those network channels because I have 2 younger boys who are starting to get into horror and they really like it. And I'm trying to introduce them in a way that isn't outright like, let's show them everything balls to the wall. So I will tune into a lot of, like, AMC Fear Fest is one that's big for me. IFC has a pretty good one. Sci-Fi Channel, Turner Classic Movies. Sporadically, we'll do days with old school horror films throughout then, and then for like the week of leading up to Halloween. They'll do nothing but horror films. Things like that, like I really enjoy. I also like watching like the Halloween, like the ghost shows, the I really get into it with the baking shows, things like that. So having that regular TV option is fun for me. But again, like it's all streaming. But when I want to watch a horror movie and it's at night and I just want to chill, like these streaming services have a great lineup, especially for Halloween this month. So any one of those, check out. I did want to bring up, I made a top 3 choice. My top 3 choices of things you should watch. They're like lesser known movies, maybe you haven't seen, or maybe you have seen them. And if you have, please comment. Let me know what you thought of my picks. Let me know what you think of each movie. I would love to talk to you guys about it. I really do, enjoy this and enjoy hearing what everybody thinks. So my top picks, mixed top picks on each platform. So go with Tubi. 3 that I thought really stood out. 2 of them are, well, they're all sort of a little older. I think Troll Hunter and Housebound they're within the last 10 years, but Bad Moon is from 96, I believe. Troll Hunter's a really fun one that comes out, I believe it was Norway or it was Sweden where it was filmed. Indie film where it's a news crew, like our documentary crew, they're going out to try and search for trolls out there, and they run into the troll hunter, and it's a really cool found footage type film. So definitely, if you haven't checked it out, you should. It will stand out and you'll love it. Housebound is a cool one with a little bit of a twist. I don't want to give anything away. I want you guys to watch it, but there's some really fun performances in it. Very spooky atmosphere to the movie. Bad Moon is a werewolf movie. Now, I'm a big werewolf guy. I love werewolf movies, and I don't think there's enough of them, especially enough really good ones. Bad Moon, I would not put on the level of like a Dog Soldiers or Howling, but I would put up there as one that if you're a fan of the genre and you're especially a fan of werewolf movies, Bad Moon starring Michael Pare is a really fun one. Now, over on Hulu, these 3 movies, Fright Night is always going to be on any list that I see. Most people have seen Fright Night. I get it. Fright Night is a personal favorite, just as a movie, not just a horror movie. So I could not put it on a list. So Fright Night is one. If you haven't seen it, it is such a fun, wonderful 80s horror movie, very 80s horror vampire flick, and some comedy to it, the whole 9. Like it's right up there. Like when I argue with people about maybe my favorite 80s vampire movie, a lot of people, of course, being Lost Boys, and I love Lost Boys. I love that movie so much. Fright Night might sneak out, kind of squeak it out a little bit. But first 2 movies are movies that maybe about 3 or 4 years ago I checked out when they came out. That's Pyewacket. Pyewacket is like a demon story. It's like a witch and demon story. It takes place in the woods. It has possession. It has spells. The whole night. Like, it's a really well done indie film. I cannot speak highly enough of this movie. It is wonderful. It is creepy, and it's shot really creepy. Like I can only really use the word creep. Like that's the best way to describe it. Like it's very creepy atmosphere the whole time, and it's wonderful. Now, the Clove Hitch Killer is based on the BTK killer, and it's about a son who is starting to realize and put together clues that his father may be this horrifying serial killer. And it's just you're watching his discovery unfold, and then like you get into like who his father actually is. It's slow paced. It's a slow burn, definitely. But it's really well acted, and the atmosphere is very, very tense, very tense. And in a lot of ways heartbreaking. But yeah, I definitely say like people should check that movie out. I would not don't anticipate a in your face horror movie, because like you get that with Fright Night, and it's in some ways you get it with Pyewacket. Pyewacket is kind of a slow burn too, but you do get there, and it's intense as well. But Clove Hitch Killer is just tense all the way through. All right, over on Shudder, my top 3. Mortuary Collection, which was came out last year. Wonderful movie starring Clancy Brown. It's an anthology series that tells different stories, and everyone is shot beautifully. Everyone looks cool. Everyone is different and weird. And I didn't love all of the stories in it, but overall, I'm so glad that all of those stories were in it. And when I said I didn't love them, it's because some of them grossed me out, but I dug it still at the same time. Like it was so weird and wonderful. And it definitely should be checked out. Mandy was my favorite movie of 2018. I definitely think everybody should check that out. It's Nick Cage, of course, if you haven't checked it out. A lot of people call it a revenge film. I would say overall the theme is conviction, and it is super well done. I'm going to leave it at that, but I will tell you this: if you are not into intense violence, maybe skip it. But if you're cool with it, I would definitely check it out. Haunt is one that should be a Halloween staple, especially because it takes place on Halloween night with this group of kids going to a haunted house. Now, when I say haunted house, like a haunted maze, like we love to go to. And when they go in there, they realize that they are actually in there. And these dressed up individuals who are running the haunt are actually out to get them. I'm going to leave it at that. Damien Maffei, who we've had on the show before, we've had a great interview with him, and he was wonderful and talked about it. Is in it. He plays Devilface, but and he's got a really cool part in it. But yeah, I definitely say check out Haunt. Those three on Shudder. Now, keep in mind, none of these I'm saying are the best films on each. These are just my top 3 picks of things that I think people should check out, especially if they haven't yet, or some of my favorites in general. So, Netflix, we're going to go next. Hellfest was one I chose. So the year that came out, like a month earlier, there was one called Bloodfest. There were 2 very similar movies. They both took place at like amusement parks that were horror themed, like Halloween or horror themed, like you get at a Six Flags Halloween Horror Nights, things like that. Stuff like that. So Hellfest was the more serious of the 2, where Bloodfest was more of a comedic one. And you check out Bloodfest. It was all right. It wasn't a bad movie, but I liked Hellfest a lot more. It was very serious in tone. It was very creepy. They handled it really well. The acting in it was really well done. And it was just a fun story overall. So that is one, like a slasher film, I would definitely say go check out. Creep. Indie hit through and through years ago. Came out wonderfully tense and weird movie about a documentary crew that goes to film this guy who hires them. And the more and more that they go on, he becomes more and more, how do you say it, of a creep. Yeah, so go check that out. I talked about Hush a little bit earlier. Hush, again, it's about a deaf woman who lives in the house out in the woods, just kind of living her life. And one night she's getting stalked and by a masked individual. And it is delightful. It's a delightful slasher film. When I say delightful, I mean that in every sense of the word, opposite. No, it's intense. It's fun. When I say it's delightful, it's one of those slasher films that kind of brings things back to form. It's Flanagan at his best, especially with like a low budget indie. You know, he did a great job with it. Now, Prime. I showed you Prime. Prime has a lot of great movies and then some. But on that list for Halloween, I chose these 3 because these 3 really stick out to me. They're really, really well done. The Collector. If you haven't seen The Collector and the cat and mouse game that was put together in that movie, I really urge you to go check it out. It is creepy. It is scary at times. It is twist your stomach up a little bit sometimes as well, but it is 100% should be watched. And you should check out The Collection, which is the sequel to it. And there's a 3rd one also coming out with Tom Atkins. The Loved Ones. This is a gruesome, scary, creepy film, and I am going to leave it open so you guys can go check it out. Even if you watch the trailer, you'll be watching this movie tonight for sure. So go check that out. House Llc. This is one I really loved when it came out. I got to see it. I think it was on Shudder. It was one of their exclusives when it first came out. House Llc. It's so wonderful. Again, it's another one that takes place within a haunted house being put together for Halloween by a group of kids, and they go to the wrong place, and the whole thing becomes like a horrifying possession. Not really possession, but like the haunt becomes possessed. So that's the best way I want to put it, because I don't want to give away too much on any of these if you haven't checked them out. But go check out House Llc. It is a found footage movie, so there's a lot of moving around, but really well done, really well shot. HBO Max, again, I'm talking about them being almost a sleeper, but coming in hot with a lot of choices. These movies are probably movies you've seen if you're a fan of the horror genre, but like this Blob from the 80s. You can go check that out. They have that available. And I think they have the original Blob with Steve McQueen available as well. Just a wonderful creature feature film, both of them. Really well done, and both products of their times. I definitely think that if you haven't seen either of them, go check them both out. Freaky, which came out, I think, last year. If not, it was the year before, starring Vince Vaughn. Slasher film, and it's done in a style of like a Freaky Friday, where a young woman and a serial killer, a man who's a serial killer, switch bodies, and then chaos ensues, and it's wonderful. So go check it out, and it's very funny. It's scary, but also very funny as well. Carnival of Souls is from the 60s. I actually took my 9-year-old to see this, and it creeped him out quite a bit. That was one that I don't think he was truly prepared for. But when he watched it, he walked out. He wasn't like can't sleep terrified or anything like that, but he walked out and he was like, that left me with like a really creeping sense, kind of like Psycho, or some of we'll watch some of the old Corman, Edgar Allan Poe movies together and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah, it left me like a creepy, dreadful sense. And I was like, that's what it's all about. So I put that on there in case any horror fans haven't seen it. They should definitely go check that one out. So those are my top picks. I'm going to put these up on the social media as well. Please check them out. Let me know what you think. If you've seen them or you haven't seen them and you do check them out, come back. Let me know what you think. I would love to hear it. So that's what's going on the streaming services. That's what my top picks for them. This is our Halloween Horror Fest, where we have content every day on our Patreon. If you are one of our patron supporters, it's $5 a month. We are doing giveaways. I'll give you guys a sneak peek, but our next giveaway, we just did a bunch. We had horror movie pillowcase, things like that. But we have a few of these, and it is welcome to Crystal Lake pot holders. But we have other stuff coming out as well. So we're kind of building up for everything. So if you're interested in being a patron supporter, head over to scenesnobs.com. We have links to everything. Again, Tuesday night is our Scene Snobs 2-year anniversary show. It starts at 8 p.m. Usually we're live at 9 p.m. every Tuesday, but this is going to be a special long episode. So come check it out. We have a lot of fun stuff in store. So I am Mick Manhattan, the Scene Snob. This is What to Watch with the Scene Snobs. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, follow us, like us, subscribe, everything. But let us know, like in the comments. Reach out. Tell me what you think of the choices of movies. Tell me what you've been watching. I want to hear it. I want to talk about it. So all in the comments. So I can't wait to hear from you guys. I, again, am Mick Manhattan, and I will talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Mick Manhattan, the Scene Snob, and you can check out the Scene Snobs podcast live every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, or you can check it out on any podcast platform or our YouTube channel anytime after that. Thank you to our patron supporters. Without you, this wouldn't be possible. If you guys want to join, check us out over on thescenesnobs.com. We have links for everything. The Scene Snobs merch store is open. You can check that out too. Links again on the site. Or like, follow, and subscribe on all of our social media. Again, head over to thescenesnobs.com. It's all there for you guys. Love you, and we'll talk.